Breaking news coming in. A Saudi Arabia minister claims Lebanon's embattled Prime Minister Hariri is free to leave whenever he pleases. This comes a day after the Lebanese president claimed that Hariri and his family were being held hostage in Saudi Arabia. We are joined by senior foreign editor Padma Rao. She's joining us from the newsroom. Padma, now a confirmation from the Saudi side. What do you make of these developments? First an invite from the French president and now this?
Well, the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, had practically, thrown the ball back in Saudi Arabia's court. As you know, Mr. Saad Hariri, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, was reportedly asked to step down, or ordered to step down, rather, by Saudi Arabia, which is a very close ally of Mr. Hariri. And he was also reportedly under house arrest in Riyadh this past week. Now, by President Emmanuel Macron offering him an alternative to come to France, he was practically cocking a snook, a diplomatic snook at Saudi Arabia by saying, by waiting to see if they, whether they let him go or not. Had Saudi Arabia forbidden Mr. Hariri from traveling to Paris, then they would have Riyadh would have practically confirmed that he was very much under their control and indeed perhaps also under house arrest. So Saudi Arabia had to come out with a statement supporting Mr. Hariri's departure, whether to Lebanon, as he had earlier said, or now to Paris at the invitation of President Emmanuel Macron.
Right. And Padma, the fact that the Lebanese president has talked about the fact that Mr. Hariri could have been held against his wishes, and if he has resigned, he needs to come back to Lebanon and submit his resignation. Now the Saudis going out of their way to say he's a free man, he can go anywhere. What is the behind-the-scene sense we are getting? I mean, what exactly is happening? Has he stepped down actually under Saudi pressure?
Mr. Hariri has always been known as being close to Saudi Arabia. He is half Saudi Arabian himself, and he has spent extensive time. He was born in Saudi Arabia. So he has always been seen by his detractors, perhaps, as let's say, the kind of Saudi proxy in Lebanon, where, as you know, the Iran-backed Hezbollah has the upper hand. Now, Saudi Arabia has escalated its offensive against Iran, and specifically against Iran's support to the Hezbollah in Lebanon. And one of the things that they certainly would have done is to ensure that their man in Lebanon, so to speak, who is Mr. Hariri, is seen to be, his actions are seen to be in consonance with theirs. So Mr. Hariri not only left his office, but he also made a statement after resigning, a very strong statement about how the Iran-backed Hezbollah was practically taking over, or had practically taken over Lebanon,
right.
And that was the reason why he was resigning. Now, obviously, not everyone in Lebanon, from its president to other people in the cabinet, are of Mr. Hariri's opinion, or perhaps, so they obviously were obliged to also come out and show that they were displeased with the fact that he had left and that they wanted him back. So there are a lot of these games, political games being fought, and at the center of it all, as you know, Raghavendra, is the escalating crisis between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Saudi Arabia accuses Iran of not only backing the Hezbollah in Lebanon, but also in Yemen, and of firing missiles from the Yemen border. Has escalated to the extent that there has been talk of war. President Macron has arrived there to play a statesmanly role and try and be seen as diffusing the crisis.